Nerdrotic.com.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Nerdrotic Nooner. My name is Gary Beekler, and I come to you from Nerdrotic.com. It's Monday. It's It's July 19th. We're in the middle of summer here in the Northern Hemisphere. It took me a minute to remember that. I've got my fan on, so you're probably going to hear it. It's hot. We've had thunderstorms in the middle of the night, which is kind of cool, kind of rare for summer because it's monsoon season, but that's enough of a weather report. We've had a very interesting weekend in our sphere. After the opening weekend of Black Widow, when all the Marvel consumers and stands were claiming victory over some conflated numbers, some skullduggery, which I believe. I mean, hey, I got to take it at face value. And Disney was very open about their VOD and how many people paid for that. It was 60 million. Black Widow did pretty well over the first weekend. I think it even got close to matching its projected domestic prior to the coup, although I can't get a real answer of what that is. But after all the finagling, yeah, it had a very good opening weekend. And then everybody saw it. And then it started dropping, and it dropped almost 80% on Friday. I believe, I'm going off memory here, 50-something% on Saturday, and then like a 60% on Sunday. Overall, it dropped 67%. Now, other movies have dropped that much before and have gone on to leg out the summer, including Spider-Man. I think it was Far From Home. I think it was the second one, which was terrible. And, of course, The Wasp and Ant-Man, which I don't like. I know some people do, but I don't like it. And it's very much within the same vein. I think arguments could be made about Spider-Man being a little better, maybe because it only has half Disney influence, but, I'm not the biggest fan of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. So we had Black Widow crashing over this last weekend, and then we had Loki finishing up, and that last episode was just, as Charles Barkley would say, terrible. It was terrible. It was boring. It was people sitting at a desk, only to be broken up by some nonsense fight between inconsequential male Loki and the very consequential and very important and empowered female Loki, the newest member of the MCU. And you got to ask yourself, like, what the hell is Marvel doing? Well, they're doing what they thought was best. See, because Disney is going to tell us what we're going to like, and they are going to be very much in line with what's going on behind the scenes at Hollywood, which there was the latest thing has been exposed in the last 24, 48 hours with Hasbro. Apparently, Hasbro is teaching their employees CRT. I saw some of that video, and there was a young lady, probably childless, with another dude in their training video talking about how kids are racist at 2 years old, which is fucking fiction and fantasy and ridiculous and propaganda and the bullshit that's been going on for years in Hollywood. We're only finding out now, folks. This has been going on for quite a while. And, I was watching a Robert Meyer Burnett live stream from about a year ago, and he was going over a paper that was put together by a think tank that was put together by the Roddenberry Foundation. That's Gene Roddenberry, which was essentially CRT. It was CRT in script writing. It was telling you what you can and cannot write. And I have found that, by the way. We'll probably go over it on FNT at some point. And it's very similar to what Disney got busted on with their CRT training. So if Disney's doing it, Amazon's doing it, freaking Facebook's doing it, they're all doing it. They're all teaching their employees, probably mostly in their 20s, that kids are racist. So I saw some people asking, like, should we boycott Hasbro? Yeah. Fuck yeah. I mean, there's ways to get your stuff secondhand, but if this is what's going on, it's undermining absolutely everything, and you're really creating a villain, and it's going to end in a very bad place. It's going to end in a very, very bad place. We need to obviously come together and talk about, they love to conflate that, if we say CRT is bad, then we're obviously racists and white supremacists and we're the bad guys, instead of, no, we're just trying to work together a little more. And I think that whole, we're going to start out with everybody is just racist from the get-go is probably not a good idea, because it puts your enemy, which it is, that's a point, because part of CRT is not just being against race. You need to be anti-racist as much as not being a racist. So you need to find an enemy. And the foundation of this thing, it's not flawed. I'm not going to say it's flawed. It's very deliberate what they're trying to do. And they have been trying to do it through our entertainment now for years. And a lot of us have been trying to bring this up. And now it's just out in the open. It's just out in the open. And our companies are capitulating because they're scared. And they're dumb. And now I don't know. And maybe because they're too big. They're so big that that basically they're being extorted right now, and it's working. So maybe we don't need them anymore. Hey, Hasbro, I'm sure, has made a lot of, G.I. Joe, and then they own a bunch of other stuff. And well, I mean, this is also the problem when you have these companies buying up so many other companies and practically just coming up to this far from being a monopoly. We have so many of them now, all of this consolidation, that, yeah, I think it's time to break fucking all of them up. Break them all up. Stop giving them money. The minute you give Hasbro money, you are perpetuating CRT. Just remember that. Remember, the next dollar you give them perpetuates CRT. Now, I've made it a point, and there's we even have to probably get to a point where even maybe stop buying secondhand. I'm not sure. I think that's fine for now, but we all saw what happened last summer. I know the mainstream media doesn't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. They want to talk about January. They don't want to talk about last summer. I'll talk about last summer, because last summer had effects on everyone. And as we head, I mean, there's other countries, hats off. And my heart goes out to Australia, to parts of Australia, which have gone into a ridiculous lockdown over 3 cases. I saw poor Lethal Lightning. He's locked down again. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So these companies have too much power, so it's time to depower them. So it's nice to see, you know what? Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be very happy to see Disney fail. And, you hear the usual, oh, why are you being so hard on the creatives and the artists? Because they're all in on this. They're all in on this. if the creatives and the artists want this stuff to stop, then they need to start standing up against it and stop this. Oh, well, I'm trying to keep my job. You know what? Your job is now bringing some very dangerous stuff to the country, and you are now complicit. Stand the fuck up. But what Disney needs is a good kick in the balls, a good fucking failure. And while I don't think Black Widow is it, I think it's a sign. I think it's close. We'll see if it legs out the summer. I don't know if it will. You never know. The strength of the Marvel brand it cannot be denied. Okay, it is a strong brand that has yet to have a failure of any kind. Now, maybe WandaVision failed, maybe Falcon and Winter Soldier failed, maybe Loki failed. I don't know. They're awfully quiet about the numbers. They love those opening numbers. They love to talk about those. And I guess on like Roku or Sling or whatever, the first episode of Loki was watched by like 1 million people. So probably add another 1 million for people watching it on their desktops. Add another 250,000 for people watching it on their phones. So it's probably 3 million people, which is pretty impressive for watching something behind a paywall. But what's the drop-off? How long did people watch the episode? What do you count as a view? Well, it's sounding like they're using the YouTube method, which is, not watching the whole thing. I know with the iPlayer over in the UK, they use the YouTube model. So somebody watching a Doctor Who episode for 2 minutes, that will be considered a view. And it's only a certain percentage. So we'll see. Okay, so we got that. So we'll do some a little Disney Schadenfreude, something like that. And then I'll talk a little bit about that Loki finale, and then we're going to talk about comic shops. There was an interesting article that came out in the Hollywood Reporter about the comic creatives are starting to complain about their residuals and stuff, and they kind of have a beef. They do. They've had a beef for years and years and years. But I might have a different point of view on that. And comic shops. We're going to go over Brian Hibbs' statement about closing the Comic Outpost, the Comics Experience Outpost, my old shop. He says something very interesting about the periodical, as he calls it. It's the floppy. It's the funny book. As spoilers, it's unsustainable and not profitable. The American periodical. Now, I know there's comic shop owners on Twitter saying everything's a success. As long as they're selling manga, sure. And you're selling back issues, absolutely. But that new American comic book written by Vita Ayala or Kelly Sue DeConnick, not doing so well. Let's see who's here. Hey, we got Darius Munchausen, Ludwig van Wiegen. Howdy, everyone. Anti-bra chicks have daddy issues. There's nothing wrong with that, though. JG. Draco T. Eric K. What? Two? How am I supposed to say this? Hermeneglid. I probably said that wrong. Turo. Corey Leader. Zachary Talbot. Phoenix Tangent. Nerdy Girl Creates. What's up? Hey, that was your tweet I saw that said, should I boycott Hasbro? Si, señorita. Yes. Brian Hibbs has the what? The boson particle? What's up, John Pearson? And Grand Wazoo 42 and Rob G and Gonzalo Bagali and Joseph and Joe Blah. And what is that? Insamatic 101. And Bruno. Welcome to the Nerdrotic Nooner, everybody. So it's going to happen one of these days. So when I when I put a marker in for the Grace Randolph for my for my recordings, I say it. I go so I remind myself. One of these days I'm gonna miss it. I know I'm gonna miss it. She's making a triumphant return in the Loki video, which I worked on. That's why this is a little late. I was up until like 1 working on it last night. It's 3/4 of the way done. You should see it tomorrow about 9 a.m. I'm thinking. I have, let's see, how many notes? Well, I've got this and this. So I've got about, 20 pages of notes. All right, so where do we want to start? Well, let's start it. This is like one of John F. Trent's best headlines ever. Absolutely ever. It's glorious. So we love John F. Trent from Bounding into Comics. Black Widow crashes at box office. Gets smoked by LeBron James's weak Space Jam movie. Well done, my friend. I applaud you. Oh, and thank you. I want to thank him publicly for he put my Black Widow review in there. Said I savaged it. I do my best. I try. Yeah, Black Widow sucked. It made no sense. Characters were only characters in name only. It wasn't even a Scarlett Johansson movie. It was a Florence Pugh movie. All the ladies had shoulder pads to make them look more dude-like. And despite like pancaking down ScarJo's boobs as much as they could, they still couldn't keep that girl down. And per capita, more ass shots than any other Marvel movie. So there's that. Also, inexperienced director, inexperienced writer. Most of the film was put together prior to the director and the writer even coming on. Last minute changes. Taskmaster was a dude. You could see that sausage flopping around in all the scenes. And then when they took the helmet off and it showed a lady, it was hands down the most hilarious scene in Marvel history. And I'm talking all the Marvel movies, even outside the MCU. Also, worst third act of any Marvel movie, even outside the MCU. Just garbage. Absolute garbage. Some people like it. That's fine. Don't let me enjoy your enjoyment of something. Just keep in mind that, I don't get on anybody for liking something. I don't, call you names, question your intelligence. I might question your taste, but I won't, go there. I won't go, that's fine. Because, I like some shit too. And I have different reasons. If some people like this movie because it's, despite trying to tamper this down, a bunch of hot women running around, I'll give you that. You're a dude. I'm not going to blame you. But don't, fool yourself into thinking it was a good movie, because it was not. It was a very bad movie. He's going to repeat the headline there. You know how I feel about that, but I understand why they do it. According to the numbers, Black Widow only brought in $26.2 million in its second domestic weekend, getting beat by Space Jam, A New Legacy, which earned $31.6 million and it's in its opening weekend. By the way, Space Jam starring Sonequa Martin Green, the plank of wood herself, Space Jesus. Black Widow previously earned $80.366 million in the domestic opening weekend, meaning the gross declined by an astounding 67%. 68% seems to be the norm for movies opening weekend to second weekend. Now, that's not an excuse for Black Widow. No. It's movies suck. Movies are trash. Movies are garbage. Why do you think our good friend Chris Gore is getting a lot of traction on his videos that say 99% of all films are garbage? Because he's fucking right. As a matter of fact, I'm going to steal that. I am so stealing that for the comic book industry. Look for that one soon. Oh my. Like, look at this. I'm going to zoom in on this right here. Let's see if we can see this. Like, how do you do this to Florence Pugh, Florence Pugh's a very attractive young lady. And so is ScarJo. How do you make them? Can you still see it? Yeah. Look like, I mean, you got to try. They still look good. I mean, come on, let's be real. But, I mean, sir, so Disney's obviously, like, leaving money off the table. We all know that. You know, let's start with story. Let's forget the sex appeal, which you'd need, by the way. That's what Hollywood was built on. Let's be real. Let's just go with the story. I talked about it in my review. You do a Hawkeye Black Widow story. Fucking bring in Charlie Cox as Daredevil, do a street. I mean, that's what Black Widow doesn't fight galactic threats or giant fucking things in floating in the sky. She's a spy. She's a femme fatale. And no, she's not a strong enough character to do a solo movie. That solo movie happened as a makeup. Scarlett Johansson's popular, but the way she played her character in this movie, of course it was going to fail. And of course she was going to fall into the background. Now, if she played the Black Widow from Winter Soldier or from the Avengers, I will argue, I know a lot of people don't like Joss Whedon right now, and yeah, he's a dick. He's always been a dick. But the guy was a good writer. His dialogue specifically. A lot of people try to do Whedon speak, and when the other people try to do it, it fucking sucks, and it's awful, and it's cringe, and I can't stand it, and I'm kind of over it. But he's very good, or was very good at what he did. That opening scene with Black Widow and the Avengers was great. If you did something like that, the movie would have been better. And also, you know, give us some resolution with the Hawkeye Black Widow thing, which you can't do now, which you have been setting up since the beginning of Marvel Phase 1. We also have to remember that Disney had nothing to do with the beginning of Marvel Phase 1, and it had nothing to do with starting the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that's why it feels so different. You know, when I was doing my Loki review, and it begins with Marvel Endgame, which is still a Disney product, but soon as Loki ejects himself from Endgame, it stops being Marvel. It doesn't even look Marvel anymore. It doesn't even feel Marvel anymore. It feels like a rebooted franchise 20 years later. By the way, Space Jam, I tried to watch it, and I could not. I could not watch it. I don't care about basketball. I don't care about Chinese kneelers, which is what LeBron James is. He's a big Chinese kneeler. So I don't care. I like Bugs. Seems like they got the voice thing kind of worked out. They've been trying to replace Mel Blanc for a long time. Seems like they kind of got that worked out. But all the cameos were dumb. It looked like a bunch of extras jumping around in cosplay. Bad cosplay. I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't want to waste my time watching it. All right, so drop 67%. They look frumpy. To put that in perspective, the most recent Marvel Cinematic Universe entry before Black Widow was Spider-Man Far From Home. The film only had a 51% decline from its opening weekend to its second weekend, so it must have been the Spider-Man Homecoming I was talking about earlier. Just correction there. It earned $92.5 million in its opening weekend and $45.3 million in its second weekend. However, that might not be the greatest comparison, given Spider-Man Far From Home had a unique opening strategy back in 2019 where it was released on Tuesday, July 2nd, to take advantage of the long 4th of July weekend in the United States. And that's a very good thing to point out, John. Well done. Before Spider-Man Far From Home, there was Avengers Endgame. It earned $357.1 million in its opening.
Hi, I'm my crew, always on the go.
God.
And they work hard, but play harder.
Fucking
you know,
ads. John? Fucking ads. Before Spider-Man Far From Home, there was Avengers Endgame. It earned $357.1 million in its opening weekend? I forgot it was that much. Holy shit. Damn. And $147.38 million in its second weekend. Only a 59% drop. And that's a big drop for Endgame. Okay, that's a big drop for Endgame. If Endgame was anywhere close to as good as Infinity War, that drop would have been probably 49%. I think they added extra 10% for all the fucking Fat Thor, Birkenstock Hulk, Captain America fucking off the rest of his life for some broad, for some dame. Even Captain Marvel had less of a drop-off than Black Widow. Captain Marvel earned $153.4 million in its opening weekend, and it fell to $67.98 million in week 2, only a 56% decline. Yeah, and you know what? I think Captain Marvel had the reverse osmosis effect. I think it turned into a political issue. See, Disney tried to market it like Black Widow, and it didn't work until I think a lot of us added to that. I think that's the one case where it added. I think largely when we make videos, we account for a net loss. Not so sure on Captain Marvel. My mind is open to listen to a counter argument on that one. And I think it was, that's just the way it goes. Brie was miscast, and she still is miscast. And, oh, by the way, we got confirmation of that because Captain Marvel 2, which that's what it was originally called. If you go back to the Disney investor meeting and to see Kevin Feige introducing Captain Marvel 2, that's why it's very interesting that they changed it to Marvels. I'm not surprised because it's the same reason that the BBC was, and again, this is based on the rumor I heard before. Maybe a lot had changed or anything, but the reason given for Jodie's departure was we don't want to have this white woman leading around two people of color. All of a sudden, that became a bad look for the constantly moving goalpost of identity politics. And that's the same reason Captain Marvel is now Marvels, because we're not going to have a little Karen with her Karen Hillary Clinton haircut leading around Miss Marvel and Photon or whatever the hell they're going to call the real Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau, and I think the Blue Marvel. The Blue Marvel as well. There's going to be a dude in there. I'm pretty sure he'll be a member of the Alphabet team. In fact, Black Widow holds the title for the largest percentage decline in box office gross between opening weekend and film's second weekend in Marvel Cinematic Universe history. Because it's the MCU. Word of mouth got out. People started watching reviews. No, fuck that. People saw the movie and walked out of there and went, fuck that. What did I just watch? Now, of course, does anybody believe early reviews anymore? I don't even know why the studios bother. I don't know why they bother, because it seems to be early reviews are a bunch of guys who do this on their, if they do show their faces on their social medias, it's usually like this. You know, they get their mouth gaping open. And they're like, oh my Godsies, it was the best Marvel movie ever. What did Inverse call it? The best Marvel Cinematic Universe film, period. Which I almost thought was a troll a little bit. People were saying top 5, better than Winter Soldier. The record was previously held by both Spider-Man Homecoming and Ant-Man and the Wasp. John, that's Wasp and Ant-Man. With both films having 62% declines from their opening weekends to their second weekend. And the only reason people went back and watched the Wasp and Ant-Man was to see that stinger at the end. Spider-Man Homecoming earned $117 million in its opening weekend and only a $44.2 million in its second weekend. Ant-Man and the Wasp earned $75.8 million in its opening weekend. This is during a good economy. And only $29 million in its second weekend. And I've got some bad news for everybody that I don't even want to talk about, but like we need to start talking about it. Because if we don't start talking about it, we can't prepare for it, right? Informing you guys, all right? I doubt YouTube is going to like what I'm about to talk about, but I don't give a shit. On the international side, according to Screen Daily, Black Widow earned $56 million in its second weekend. Its previous $76 million. That's pretty good. And its opening weekend, much of the gross has come from South Korea, the United Kingdom, and France. The film has not opened in China. And yeah, I don't know if it's going to. They only get certain amount of films, right? So is it going? I haven't gotten an answer to that. If it opens in China, it might do well. It would have done better if they sexied up ScarJo. China has made it no secret that they're human. They like to see pretty people running around. I got no problem with that. Not only is Black Widow performing terribly compared to the previous Marvel Cinematic Universe films in the box office, but it missed box office analyst, that's what I like to say, projections by a long shot. The numbers predicted that the film would defeat Space Jam: A New Legacy at the box office by earning a $36.4 million. It underperformed. Nobody likes to hear that, especially us guys, for sure. By over $10 million. However, Box Office Pro did predict it would earn $25.9 million, so slightly overperformed. We don't mind hearing that. It's like, you overperformed today. Thank you. Their projections with $26.2 million. I think these are all estimates. We don't know any of this shit. All I can tell you guys is I put up on Twitter the night before Black Widow, I bought tickets. I feel dirty for doing that, but I bought tickets and I went to the theater and the fucking theaters were empty. So I looked at all across San Diego and it was the same story. Each theater had 10 tickets sold for the first show on the preview night, the night before, 9 p.m. Pacific time, before the movie's opening. Empty fucking theaters. The only place I found that was sold out, I checked San Francisco. I checked Sacramento. I checked Portland. I checked Seattle. I checked everywhere. And the only place it was sold out was Burbank. And I picked the theater that's practically right down the street from Disney, the one I used to go to when I worked at Technicolor. And that fucker was sold out. But that was it. Now, they put it in so many theaters. I'm not doubting it made that. I'm honestly not doubting it made that much money because they just put it in all the theaters. But there's a point where reality is going to set in. Like these movies, I'm not making this shit up. These movies are shit. They are shit. If one was good, I would tell you. I'd be all, yes, we got a good Marvel movie. All right. And for, I bring this up. My views do just as well if I praise a movie over me criticizing it. As a matter of fact, they do better. The advertising money is better. Everything is better if I'm praising a movie. That's why so many people praise movies, because it's better. It's more profitable. As for Space Jam: A New Legacy, while it did earn the number one spot at the box office with $31.6 million, it failed to best the original Space Jam's 1996 opening weekend box office haul. Yes, well, because you had the greatest basketball player of all time, Michael Jordan, in it, as opposed to the Chinese kneeler, LeBron James, who isn't even better than Kobe or Larry Bird, or Moses Malone. Those are all guys I watched when I cared about basketball. I stopped caring about basketball when Michael Jordan left. I'm like, the original Space Jam saw a lot of money, and by the way, haven't seen the original Space Jam. It's the same reason I didn't watch all those Disney movies in the 90s. I'm male, and I was in my 20s. I was single for part of that, and I was also early married. But I hung out with the dudes. We were watching Pulp Fiction and movies with bad drug deals or sci-fi. I wasn't watching kiddie animated movies because I didn't have kids. So, yeah, I thought going to a Disney musical was kind of gay. So I didn't go. But if you're a kid and you watched it, that's fine. That's fine. Or you know what? If you like musicals and you liked it, that's fine too. I just didn't. It wasn't for me. All right. So, I want to appreciate that headline again one more time. That's a good fucking headline. Black Widow crashes at box office, gets smoked by LeBron James's weak Space Jam movie. That is getting all your points in. All your points in with the keywords crashes, smoked, weak. That is headline 101, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you title a freaking YouTube video. The only thing I would do, you don't do this in media. I almost said Access Media, but John's not Access Media, is I would capitalize crashes, smoked, and weak. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well done, John. Well done. Proud of you. Proud of my boy. How's everybody doing today? Hope you're having a fantastic day. What? 2 for $2. My bucks go to those I trust. Why, thank you. That's an honor. That is an honor. I will do my very best every day to not mislead, not steer you down the wrong path. I mean, I'm a fallible human, so that's why I say I can't say for a fact I'm not going to fuck up sometimes because I probably will. But I'm going to do my very best, okay? And I appreciate that. I am blessed to have one of the best audience around. I've got some good friends. We do a fun show called Friday Night Tights. That's doing pretty good. Last show with It's a Gundam was a lot of fun. My face hurt afterwards. I was laughing so much. And I think the guys have been great with their content of especially of late, but all the time. Really spot on. Entertainment and politics. I think it's supposed to say politics. Do not mix. The needs and structures of the two are almost totally exclusive of each other. Well, a mass market like popular culture, like Star Wars, Marvel, if you're putting in like hardcore politics into it, they don't mix. But entertainment, you can make a political movie all day long, a documentary. Nobody's asking but anybody to stop making those. We're saying specifically, could you keep, critical race theory out of fucking Hasbro? Is that too much to ask? Could you not write a Loki and a Black Widow that are so have obvious disdain for a portion of the audience? I mean, obvious disdain. I mean, both the show and Black Widow. I'll tell you that Loki is as bad as Black Widow as far as the intersectional feminism goes. As bad, if not worse. As I go through my review now, I try to make an argument that Loki is the most MCU thing in the MCU. But I have to compare my data points with a little bit of Black Widow, and then I got to go back and look at Captain Marvel, which is pretty effing MCU. It pretty much Wasp and Ant-Man started it, but Captain Marvel was like epitome of it. But I'm missing your top name there, so I will read that. It's cut off for some reason. Let me go over here. And that one, I can't even see. Let's cheat. Let's do this. All right, Kate C. for $25. Thank you, Kate C. I appreciate that. Oh, my lordy. Yeah, so Black Widow, Loki, very MCU. Falcon Winter Soldier, very MCU and woke. Black Widow, Loki, not woke. No. So when I say woke, it's like Falcon and Winter Soldier was woke. With elements of intersectional feminism, including you had Sam and Bucky touching knees, while a woman who in most scenes, if not all, I haven't gone back and counted them, the female character has the most power in the room. Each situation is set up to where the male characters are subordinate to the female characters in almost every situation. The female character will have more information. The female character will be a boss, will be a counselor. They will degrade the male character. They will treat the male character like shit. And I was talking to Az about this yesterday. Like, we're fucking fed up with this shit. I was watching Sylvie Loki. Watching it again for the review, and she treats Loki like fucking shit. Like, how did he fall in love with her? Unless he's like a submissive. Maybe he's a submissive. Maybe he likes to, I don't know. Maybe he's the gimp. Because she's a freaking C word to him. I'm not British. I can't just throw that word around. Complete, and like that actress, the actress is somebody, God, I've seen her in something before, and I didn't hate her in the thing I saw before, but I hated female Loki by the end of that show because she was not a likable character. I didn't want to hate the character. They just made it very easy for me to hate the character because there is an open disdain for, the portion of the audience that made a character like Loki popular. Comic book fans, male comic book fans. And it's not just white male. No. We saw this one coming years ago, ladies and gentlemen. It's men. It's all men now. It's all men. So welcome, all men. And I don't want to call this shit. I'm tired. I was talking to another YouTuber, we'll just say, and this YouTuber doesn't, get involved in the culture war stuff, right? They don't want to, they just basically talk about the entertainment, which is great. Okay. I have no problem with that. But this entertainer, which they are, this person who creates content says it's fucking impossible to avoid this subject now, especially when they come out and say they're going to do it. Like, we kept out Robert Downey Jr. from a movie because we didn't want ScarJo getting helped out by the boys. So you just lost, I don't know, let's put a number on it, $30 million. Robert Downey Jr. shows up in that movie. Artistically, it's a fucking terrible decision, and I hate it, but it would have added $30 million to the movie. Easy. I could be wrong. Again, you didn't make a Hawkeye Black Widow movie, which would have done twice as much money as this piece of crap. You didn't put Doctor Strange at the end of WandaVision, which would have erased. I almost don't want to give him this idea because we saw a great example of this at the end of The Mandalorian. Luke doesn't show up at the end of The Mandalorian. It doesn't get the response it does. Mandalorian Season 2 was looking a lot, and I compared it during my reviews, like Iron Man 2. It was just used to introduce people and set up a larger universe, but our main character got kind of lost in it. And the only thing that kept that from happening was Luke showing up at the end. And everybody just went, Luke! And they forgot all about all the flaws of Season 2, including the 18-minute episode that had 16 minutes of script. That was one of the dumbest things I've seen on television. So yeah, if you brought in Doctor Strange at the end of WandaVision, completely changes the show. Makes people forget that there was a white guy who shot fake children and went to jail, but all of his subordinates, including the female ones, didn't. And then a female character goes to the female character who imprisoned all the adults and tortured them and imprisoned all the children in their rooms to where they couldn't even use the bathroom, says to her, they have no idea what you sacrificed. And then, of course, Falcon and Winter Soldier says, do better. So is Loki as bad? I don't know yet. I haven't decided. The D plus shows all get a D plus in my eyes. But politics don't mix, especially it's not politics. It's more of an agenda. Doesn't mix in this, and it's putting a square peg in a round hole, and you can see it. And you have to prioritize the agenda over storytelling, which derails everything. And again, they're being upfront about this. This is stuff we had suspected they were doing for years, but then, about at the end of 2019, they were admitting it. They were admitting it. So all this stuff was made a couple of years ago. And I think it was 2 Marvel videos ago. I said, it's going to get much worse before it gets better because this stuff was made 2 years ago. But if we continue to not go to their movies, call out their bullshit, the great Dave Cullen, I don't know if he returned with a video. It seems like he did. By the way, Dave, if you're out there, we love you, man. That video, I did not get a notification, and it didn't show up in my feed. I had to go to his channel to watch it. But it sums up everything that's going on, and essentially, I'm going to paraphrase what Dave says. I don't agree with like 100% of the video. I agree with most of it. But to sum up what Dave said is, we in this sphere need to continue informing you. Mercilessly mocking the woke bullshit and the intersectional bullshit that's going on. Continue to mock it because that's the one thing they can't deal with, being made fun of. And then another word that I have avoided for a very long time, because I don't know. No, I don't have the power to do this. I don't have the power, and especially if we start using this word, they can use it against us. They can say, you don't have, see, the numbers are small. You can't stop this. But boycott. Yeah. Boycott. Inform, mock, boycott. Or stop buying, or keep your wallet in your pants, or whatever term you want to use. Stop giving these fuckers money. I can watch stuff so you don't have to. I find very clever ways to watch it without giving them money, without giving them a click. But that's what we have to do. That's the only way it's going to change. Because if Marvel keeps, why would Marvel change otherwise? Like, what is their incentive? A few people complaining online, they're raking in billions of dollars. They're not going to change. Same with Star Wars. Star Wars needs another failure. They had a big one. I mean, let's go back to Solo. # Solo lost money. They changed everything after that turd. So that was the backlash from The Last Jedi compounded with the failure of Solo got Disney to change. And we got The Mandalorian. The problem is The Mandalorian saved somebody's job, and then all of a sudden they thought they could go back to doing what they were doing before, and everything changed because of the riots, and Hollywood's scared, and that's why they're teaching everybody CRT. So back to square one. "'Twas the night before Black Widow, and all through the theater, not a fan was stirring, not even a shill reviewer." Gary, 2021. Thank you, Shark Dentures, for $5. Yeah, even Forbes went after him pretty hard. We can go after that article. Scotty Mendelson, at the end, he tries to spin it in Disney's favor, but yeah, he goes at it pretty hard. There are some people who I guess found their integrity and called out this movie for what it is, like just absolute garbage. I see Dan Vask. What's up, Dan Vask? How's it going? Normalize pussy ass beta males considering uncool again. Yes, hail, Mr. Nerdaholics. Thank you. Yes, we need to normalize shame and bullying to a certain extent. Hey, all of us have been bullied and shamed. We don't like it, but I think it has a place. It has a place. But the thing is, like, the jocks and the normies have taken over our hobby. That's what happened. So the people who do that shit have taken over our hobby, and that's why you hear jackasses like James Mangold, fucking saying that thing about Kadish living in his basement. That's why, John Campia made his little comment about cousin humping nerds living in their basement. See, these people aren't nerds. They're not nerds. Another nerd wouldn't say that to another nerd. What is the date today? There we go. Athenon for $50. Says, "Hail, Gary, this weekend, my son and I went to a movie. I have not seen Black Widow. He has. Did he want to see it again with me? No. We went to Pig with Nick Cage, which wasn't great, but according to my son, it was better than Black Widow. See you on Friday Night Tights." Hail, Athenon. Excellent. I heard a couple people praise the movie. I'm going to skip it until I can see it on a streaming service or anything. But I know people want to go to the movies. I'd almost rather see Fast 9, but I heard there's a girl that's the key to everything. And I also heard it's about family. It's about family. That damn family. Silver Axe 13. Hey, Gary. Didn't give Black Widow my money, so here you go. You and the rest of Friday Night Tights crew are my MCU now. I love to hear that. Oh. Hell yeah. FNT. I'm also going to talk a little bit about Vegas later on, the meetup. I haven't even named it yet. I don't think, at this point, I think it's just going to be called the meetup, the Friday Night Tights meetup. No sense in changing it. Chronics for $10 says, "Hey, Gary, I'm a young lad road tripping across the U.S. from Washington. Just left Vegas on my way to Colorado. Glad you're doing this nooner for my long drive." Hail. Oh, Chronics. Excellent. Let me guess. You're on your way to Colorado and your name is Chronics. Little 420 there? Little sticky icky? That's all right. We appreciate that. Have a very safe drive. And 40,000, and 40K just hired a Hasbro exec. Fuck, says Captain Caboose for $5. Yeah, fucking Hasbro. Yeah, let's I wasn't planning on going over that, but we do need to talk about that. Let's see if I don't know if Bounding has a article on it yet. Did Captain America betray the United States during the Vietnam War and kill American soldiers? Don't even fucking start with that shit. There it is, right there. Well, no, Hasbro orders no hoods. I don't know if there's an article on this. Veritas, Hasbro. Yeah, here it is. Oh, Newsweek. Well, it's not exactly the best site to go over, but it's something, okay? Damn it, that's the wrong page. Let me go over here. People hate Project Veritas. I don't. Because they've found there's a lot of stuff we don't know that we would still not know if it wasn't for them. If you don't like their tactics, well, it seems like one side has a lot to hide, right? If you have to resort to manipulation and lies to push your political agenda or push that your industry is doing better, it's not. You're deceitful, you're lying, and you should not be trusted. I mean, stating the obvious here, the comic industry is conflating numbers like manga and children's books. They're lying to you. It's not doing better. If they have to lie to you, it's not doing well. Why are they lying? Well, they don't care what you think. They care what their corporate overlords think. And communists are trying to say they're socialists, democratic socialists, but they're actually communists. They're lying to you. Why do they have to lie? Well, because communism isn't exactly an easy sell. But that's what they want. Hasbro Insider says CRT is being taught to kids through products. Hasbro Insider claims the company is attempting to teach children race theory through CRT through the products in an interview with a far-right activist group, Project Veritas. It's always far-right. It's always the far right. David Johnson, a packaging engineer at Hasbro, said the company is working with the nonprofit organization The Conscious Kid to give Hasbro employees CRT training. According to its website, The Conscious Kid is an education, research, and policy organization dedicated to equity and promoting health, racial identity, development in youth. Tell me what that said. Dedicated to equity and promoting healthy racial identity development in youth. Taking action to disrupt racism in kids. They're coming for our kids. The Conscious Kids website offers resources, books, lists, and special section dedicated to AAPI stories for adults to reference while teaching children about race. Johnson spoke with Project Veritas founder James O'Keefe in an interview that was posted on YouTube. In the interview, Johnson rejected the idea that children should be taught about race at the young age, calling it absurd. It's fucking absurd. It's absolutely absurd. You know what you should be telling them? Judge a person. Well, try not to judge harshly ever, and do it on an individual basis, and judge a woman or a man by the content of their character and not by the color of their skin. That's what my mom and dad told me to do. You know, it helps to grow up around it, which, my son went to an elementary school in San Francisco. And before all the CRT shit came in, elementary school in San Francisco was just an elementary school. Math, English, normal shit. It's not that way anymore. And, now I am faced with many other parents with not putting my kid in a public school. It's extra challenging when my kid, is on the spectrum. And there's many other parents in my position, but fuck it. I'll figure it out because I am not putting my kid in a public school. And I don't think you should either. I think there's a way. I know it sucks. I know not everybody, maybe somebody's going to have to quit their job. I don't know, but it's pretty important. Unless you want to see your kid like with ram horns on and piercings everywhere, and they want to be called, they want their pronouns to be ram something on a TikTok video, I think it's something you need to consider, unless your school isn't implementing this stuff. And even private schools are now, so it's hard to find. What I think this will do, this will create private schools that, won't teach this stuff. And hopefully that happens. The government will do its part, try to crush vouchers and stuff. Then crowd-funded schools. I don't fucking know. I think it's absurd to just state as fact that a 2-year-old that children are going to be racist and using race to reason about who they're going to play with and discrimination based on, Johnson said. I screwed that up. Sorry. During the interview, Johnson claimed that Hasbro and the Conscious Kid were attempting to introduce children to racial bias. Yes, before they're really able to understand what race and racism is. And they don't at 2. At 2, they fucking don't. But they are very susceptible to your propaganda. I don't know. Hang on. Let's see if we can find this video. Give me a sec. Oh my, okay.
Deception propaganda. A new
So, I looked up Project Veritas and it did not come up in the search. Mark with the C's video came up. I think Open Airlock Policies video. So in my sphere, those videos came up, but I typed in Project Veritas and it did not come up. YouTube. I try to back you, YouTube. I do. I really do. But it's kind of hard when you do shit like that. I'm going to have to move this over. Hang on. Can you see it now? Okay. There we go. I wasn't planning on doing this, so. Un momento. Por favor. That's good. All right, I don't want to play the whole thing, but they play, hang on.
Push CRT, critical race theory, through branding and messaging through their products.
Explain what we're looking at here.
This is the program developed by the Conscious Kid, which is working with Hasbro. I'm not sure exactly to what extent, but this is their program to teach children about, well, teach is a strong word, but they want to introduce children into racial bias at an early age.
So there are the two people in the video.
People of color.
Hang on. They say some pretty fucking stupid shit. There we go.
To express overt racial biases against people of color.
By age 3, children are already starting to apply stereotypes, and research shows that they also may use racist language intentionally at this age. And white children at this age may report explicit or overt negative attitudes towards people of color.
Okay.
So already by age 3, this can happen.
By age 3, this could happen. Says fucking what? 25-year-old fucking communist shithead. Childless weirdo. And like, what the fuck are you fucking talking about? Unless, of course, your kid, if it's a kid of the Klan and that's like being indoctrinated, I fucking doubt it. So they don't fucking, where are the receipts? Where are you? Where's this research? Who did the research? Was it a biased organization? Oh, I'm sure it fucking was. This is a fucking racket. This is extortion. This is the mob. And you know what? Fuck you, Hasbro. Fuck you for fucking bending to the knee to this. Fuck you and your fucking products.
By age 4, kids are showing a strong and consistent pro-white, anti-black bias. And at this
fuck off.
Age, it is seen in the research really significantly against black boys, but this anti-black bias occurs across gender at this age. At the age of 5, children show many of the same racial attitudes held by adults. By this age, children are...
So what about the I'm not going to call it, there's no such thing as reverse racism. There's just racism. What about the racism you're teaching right fucking now?
Are really also sensitive to the status of different racial groups in our society and show a high status bias towards white people, which is the socially privileged group in our society.
Oh, you mean kind of like when you make Falcon Captain America because you saw him as the high status white person that I can't take much more of this, folks. I will punch something.
White children show pro-white bias at this age, and it's really important to note also that Black and Latinx children do not show the same in-group preference for their own.
What? Oh. Listen, sweetheart. I grew up in Southern California. I know who fucking likes who and who doesn't like who. Nobody's saying it doesn't exist. I would never say that. I would say kind of like, I can't stare at this biatch much longer. Remember when Stop Asian Hate was going around and then like people started like looking into where the Asian hate was coming from and they're all, maybe we should just lay off the Stop Asian Hate. Very similar situation here. There's definitely people who don't like each other. That's a fact. Especially in SoCal, especially in LA. Shit. If you want to check that out, go to Project Ver. I'll put the link. I mean, of course, after this live stream, but I'll put the link for the video in the chat. I can't listen to any more of that. I want to have fun this show. But here's the link to that video. It's 25 minutes long, so maybe I'll do a video. I don't know. We'll probably I think it's a Good Friday Night Tights thing. It might be dead news by then, but I think the guys going over that with me would be better. Yeah, so that's all. 2-year-old racists. Watch out for the 2-year-old racists, everybody. So this is what Disney's thinking. They're being taught the same fucking shit. Amazon's being taught the same shit. So yeah, we're going to get a fucking woke ass, intersectional feminine ass, CRT ass, Lord of the Rings, and MCU from here on out. I do believe that we might have seen the best MCU film already this year, and that's Black Widow. That might be the best movie. Shang-Chi could suck, could be average. I think the best it could be is average. Eternals is going to be garbage. And then, of course, Spider-Man's coming out at the end of the year. But that's a Sony movie as much as it's an MCU movie. I think that one will easily do the best because it's going to have Toby. So they're resorting to gimmicks already. But yeah, this is a big fucking problem in our fucking country, and corporate America and Hollywood are helping it along. They are pushing this divisiveness. They have been pushing it for years. A lot of us have tried to tell you. Thankfully, you guys are here and you've woken up, and you got to start waking up your friends to this. No, nobody wants. Of course, the backlash you're going to get is you're some sort of racist or white supremacist, and that's fundamentally not true. We are trying to avoid the opposite from happening. Quite the opposite, because it's happening right now. Ooh, wow. Well. All right. What else we got to talk about? I'm going to answer a couple questions, and then we're going to get into a couple more articles that I found were pretty interesting. I stopped watching Marvel after they killed off the Warriors 3 in Thor Ragnarok. They deserve their own series, but on a higher note, can't wait to see you back on EFAP. It's going to be an epic show. Yes, this Saturday. Is it this Saturday or next? I'm going to be on EFAP in a Saturday in the very near future, and I believe I'll be with Drinker and Az, and we're going to be talking about Loki. So, yes, Joey, I'll be returning with our good friends over at EFAP. It'll be fun. Lou Haunton for $5 says, your opinion, Concrete is the best graphic novels ever. No, I mean, I respect Concrete for what it was. It's damn good storytelling, Lou, but it's not, in my opinion, the greatest graphic novels ever. But it's up there. It's up there. Randomized for $4.99. Hail, Gary. On a podcast, I heard an advert saying Disney had acquired The Walking Dead and are really pushing it. I think they're getting desperate for views. Yeah, Disney, as far as I know, does not own AMC, do they? Which is distribution rights to The Walking Dead, but no, The Walking Dead belongs... I don't know who owns the rights to The Walking Dead. Hang on, let's find. I don't know if Kirkman sold them all out or if it's just distribution. AMC Networks. Okay. AMC Networks is owned by... It's easy to check this stuff out. I mean, like, it's a little Google. There's a lot of people who are just getting fucking lazy in the media. Rainbow Media Holdings and the Dolan family own the AMC Networks International, IFC Films, RLJE Films. But I'm guessing Robert Kirkman has probably total control over a Walking Dead, and that's why he's immensely rich, and he was smart for doing that, and that's how you got to do it. And that relates directly to the next article we're going to read. We're going to go over. Hey, Gary, I'm planning on ending my collection soon after 3 months of fun collecting. Any good Marvel DC one-shot issues or stories besides The Killing Joke? Yeah. If you want a good fun story, get Dark Side, Dark Phoenix, Teen Titans, X-Men. Look for any crossovers. Those are good one-shots. There's Superman and Spider-Man, Spider-Man and Superman, Batman and the Hulk. There's Marvel versus DC. That ended up being a card game for a little while. Justice League, JLA Avengers. That's a fun one. If you want fun, as far as one-shots go, graphic novels. Arkham Asylum, Long Halloween. If you can find they did reprint. There is a Spider-Man story called Hooky that I love. It's one of my all-time favorite stories. Torment by Todd McFarlane. Oh, I got a big stack of Spawn. Here. I got some Spawn for my kid. I love the first 30 issues are just freaking great. Love them. Okay, but yeah, that's what I would recommend. Oh my God, Script Doctor, I got to give Script Doctor and Nina Infinity all the credit for them. They were talking about fucking Loki finale, and then Script Doctor said we was Kangs, and I about pissed myself laughing. We was Kangs, but I got see YouTubers, that is called giving people credit for their work. Doesn't happen a lot here on YouTube, but I got to give it up to Nina and Script Doctor. I was like half listening to them while I was doing some editing, and then they said we was Kangs, from Loki. I fucking laughed my ass off. That was a good one. Kang is a descendant of Reed Richards. Will Black Kang be an excuse for the MCU to make the F4 black? Maybe Doom too, since he may be related. Okay, Dr. Doom is not related. Not in my world. Not in my headcanon. Reed Richards is related to Kang. Yes. Yeah, I absolutely think the Fantastic Four will be, I don't know if they'll be black. I think they're going to go Asian or maybe Southeast Asian, not like like India or Pakistan or something like that. That's probably the route they're going to go. They're not going to look like the Fantastic Four. And that's why Kevin Feige deliberately came out and said, we're not going to cast them anytime soon, because I think he's honestly hoping this will all blow over so he can cast a Fantastic Four that looks like the Fantastic Four, because even Kevin Feige, in his woke hearts of hearts, knows that it will not succeed unless they look like the fucking Fantastic Four, and there's no reason why you can't do the Fantastic Four. If you cast an all-white Fantastic Four, it does not mean you're a white supremacist. It means you are respecting the source material and the lore. That is all. That is it. And we need to get rid of this fucking mentality. There are certain characters you can most certainly race and gender swap. Doesn't matter. Like Kang. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what Kang's purple. Don't care what Kang looks like. I wish they would have found a better actor, because the actor sucked in that role, in that scene at the end of Loki. But there's certain characters, I don't care. It doesn't bother me that much in a movie. It's an interpretation. But when it comes to the Fantastic Four, if you want it to succeed, you make it look as close to Kirby's and Stan Lee's Fantastic Four as possible. Reed Richards got to have a little gray hair right here. Sue Storm has got to be smoking hot. A smoking hot blonde with blue eyes. Johnny Storm is a blonde hair, blue-eyed guy who likes the ladies. And the Thing is a brute. But a nice one. A brute with a heart of gold. Heart of gold. Because he's from Yancey Street. And he smokes cigars. And everybody loves the fucking ever-loving, blue-eyed Thing. Gary, big fan, man. Okay, Favreau is still a coward for not speaking out when Gina Carano was fired. I agree. People like him can help stop this woke nonsense. Says Sean, the movie man, 71 for $5. Could not agree more. I have respect for Jon Favreau. I do. But Jon Favreau obviously didn't feel compelled to fight for Gina publicly. And he could. Jon Favreau does not need Disney nor Star Wars. He created Iron Man and, took one for the team and tried to do Iron Man 2, and it hurt his reputation a little bit. But since then, he's rebuilt it completely. He could walk away from Mandalorian right now, and Warner Brothers would back a fucking truck full of money to him, or any competing studio, or Universal, or Sony. Imagine Sony pulling in Jon Favreau to run their Spider-Man cinematic universe. You don't think Sony would fucking do that? No. John's got all the fucking power right now, but he doesn't think he does. He didn't choose to go fight for Gina, which he could have, because he could have said, rehire her back or I fucking walk, bitches. And they would have fucking rehired her back in a hot second. But you know what? You know who's more important to Disney than Gina Carano was, or Jon Favreau? Is Pablo Hidalgo. Obviously, he is the most important thing at Lucasfilm. Like an old fucking IT guy. That's what he was. Creatively, I don't know what he contributes. I know he pissed off one of the biggest Star Wars fans ever. Yeah, fuck him. I like knockers, says Clive Calculator for £2. I do too. Good pair of knockers. Old Greg for $10. Thank you for the $2. Girl, get it done. And the future is female. Mm-hmm. As long as she's masked and it's a in in barely concealed drag, liberate the women from the male gaze and everyone else as well. Well, women are being erased right now, old Greg, for $2. Look at what's happening to fucking J.K. Rowling, who's done nothing but state the truth. Now, I know a lot of people don't have sympathy for her because she contributed to a lot of that cancel culture bullshit, and I'm not going to argue with you. But what she's been saying lately makes a lot of fucking sense. We're seeing women being erased from women's sports. They're going to be called birthing people now. Do you know what the alphabet folks in San Francisco call folks like me is a breeder. I don't mind that. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't hurt my feelings. Hail, Gary. What did you think of Black Widow's poor box office result? What do you think Black Widow's poor box office results mean in terms of the normies' point of view? Also, in your description, you spell Nerdrotic, Nerdrodvik. Well, I was in a hurry. International or not? It's international, Nerdvatik. What? It's Nerdrotic. I can fix it, though. Nerdrotic. Where did I? Oh, it's right there. Boom. See, you can't tell me about these things or I'll leave them there. Yeah. What do I think about the normies' point of view? Well, I think they're waking up. For one, the normie watches YouTube. The normie listens to reviews. And I think more and more the normie is going to real people and not to the fucking shills. The shills have lost all their power. The shills lost their power with Captain Marvel. They sold themselves out for Captain Marvel, and Rotten Tomatoes changed its entire fucking website, and it's irrelevant now. Nobody talks about Rotten Tomatoes. Remember it used to be the Rotten Tomatoes score is pretty good. Nobody fucking talks about that shit now. You know what they do? They go to the drinker. They go to Mahler. They might go to me. They go to Az. They go to Mark with the C. They go to their friend who has a YouTube channel now, because I'm sure there's a lot of cases where my friend has a YouTube channel, and they listen to him or her. So that word of mouth got quick. Yeah, Disney's going to have a hard time fighting this one. And, I mean, it genuinely is just a bad movie. So I'm not as discouraged as I was last week. I was pretty discouraged last week. I'm like, fuck, this is going to be a fucking uphill battle, man. This is going to be, and it is with Loki. Loki's got the Tom Hiddleston factor. There's a lot of female Tom Hiddleston stans who just like, he's so dreamy and cute. How could you say anything bad about my Tom? It's like, I don't want to. It's like criticizing something with David Tennant in it. I don't relish it, but it still sucks. And it's Tom Hiddleston's fault for saying yes to this and deliberately taking part in the destruction of his own character, Sir Patrick Stewart. The normies are waking up. It takes them a long time, though, Mikey. Mikey, you know it takes them a long time. The normies, it's going to take a couple of years, but Marvel's not going to survive it. The MCU ain't lasting another 10 years at this rate, folks. It just isn't. I don't think Kang, we was Kangs. That's funny. I don't think Kang is the new Thanos. I think Kang is the new Loki. I think the new Thanos, I've been saying Thanos for years, so I'm just going to keep saying it, is Galactus. Or Annihilus. It could be Annihilus would be a good villain. I just don't know if Marvel was smart, well, they would get rid of all their woke bullshit characters and they would adapt Annihilation, which was a fucking great crossover. The last great crossover in Marvel. You want to pick up a good trade? Get Annihilation. And then if you like it, you can get all the side stories. Hail, Gary, and congrats on last Friday Night Tights. The next 100K live stream for you for sure. Papa Gundam is just great, and kudos to Perry Chan as Gundalorian, his Gundalorian episode 1 as well. God tier editing. That was Perry's best work as far as editing, creativity go. The Gundalorian was fucking glorious. Thank you, Perry Chan. Thank you, Grand Wazoo 42 for 10 pounds. Yeah, it's crazy. It's the response that we're getting with that. So thank you all. I am humbled and honored to be a part of it. And again, we're the sum of our parts. It's not the Gary show. It's not the Ad show. It's all of us together and great guests. And I think I'm getting better at like getting the guests more involved in the show. I had to learn how to do that because obviously I am not a professional. Obviously. We got Christopher Wayne for $25. Awesome stuff as always. You guys are the teats. Saw your reaction to the return of the fucking mask mandate on the drinker last week. You got a moving fund. Here is some loot for the cause. Christopher Wayne, thank you for the $25. Yeah, if you guys saw my reaction to the mask mandate in LA, it felt like a gut punch, dude. I'm just like, fuck this. So yesterday I put on Twitter just one word. I put no. And that's what it's for. Lockdowns are coming. Another lockdown is coming here in California. We're going to be locked down maybe September, maybe October, but we will be locked down again. We will have mask mandates. They're going to do this shit for couple 3 years until we fucking say no. Fucking no. There's one easy word for this. No. You're not essential. You need to shut down. No. I'm going to stay fucking open. And even the LA County Sheriff thankfully said, sorry, we have been defunded, so we're not going to be enforcing this at all. Good for him. Problem is the LA city cops are compliant little bitches who will fucking go out there and enforce it. If you're a cop with your fucking stones, you do not arrest somebody for not wearing a fucking mask, you piece of shit. Certainly, we want to be safe and responsible, and I understand that. And I am not a doctor. Don't listen to me for shit. You certainly want to be safe and responsible, and I have said all along, I think we can be, and still, keep our economy going because things are going to be a lot worse than just a little coof if we keep this bullshit up. So no, fucking no, absolutely not. I know California will comply because it's filled with a bunch of kneelers, so that's why I'm leaving. I'm the fuck out of here. As a matter of fact, after I saw that, Christopher, I messaged my wife and I'm like, just take anything that's close to a good offer. We're out. Nathan Cinder, thank you for the $19.99. I appreciate it. I mean, think about all those fucking poor businesses that open back up that are going to have to shut back down again. Just fucking, ugh. Lost for words for £2. Hail, Gary. Hail, Friday Night Tights. Friday Night Tights was off the hook. The last episode was crazy. Was fucking crazy. Papa Gundam will be back much more often. I love Papa Gundam. He's a good guy. He sent me a very nice message. I don't want to break character or anything. Let's just say Papa Gundam is a good dude. Support him in all, as much as you can. As much as you can. Dan Vask. We premiered his theme song last Friday. It will be up very, very soon. I think I got to get with Perry. We got to get some visuals to go along with it, but it is fucking spectacular. Thank you, Dan. We appreciate you. A Big Worm for $20 says, hail, Gary. Hail, chat. Two things. First, I have... this is my analysis of Taskmaster in screen grabs. The stuntman deserved the credit. I can't. Yeah, because I'm on a different computer on this one, man. I'm sorry. I can't pull up the screen grabs. You'll have to DM them to me on Twitter or something. The stuntman deserved the credit. Second, can we all show Superman and Lois some love? It's the show I've needed. Live long and prosper. Yeah, it's the one lone breath of fresh air. I was talking to Mahler about this, and I was like, I have to keep in mind that everything is shit, and that is affecting the Tomorrow War. I enjoyed the Tomorrow War because everything is shit. Under normal circumstances, I probably wouldn't have even given that movie close to a recommendation. But I do because it's just surrounded by such shit. Superman and Lois is a very, very good show. There are little elements of woke in it, but overall, the relationship is treated with respect. The characters are treated with respect, and the kids aren't fucking annoying, which they could be. There's a great potential for those kids to be annoying, and they still could be. And yes, this show could go woke, but so far it's not, and it's worth our support. And if we can show support for things like this, maybe they'll wake up to, because basically they came out and said, we're going to try on this one. We're going to like really try to make a Superman show and to not make it divisive and to make it for the family and make it for everyone. It's like, wow, look what happens when you try. Phoenix Tangent for $5.99 on the donation side, the Streamlab donations. The State Department Supreme Court of California will not allow Gavin Newsom to mark his preferred party as a Democrat since the campaign turned in paperwork without marking his party. May not guarantee a scalp, but not showing up as a Democrat won't help his chances. Absolutely. No, there will probably not be a very good replacement for Gavin Newsom, and I don't give a shit. Vote his. You know what? California, take his money. If he's he's offering everybody under 75, making under $75,000 a year, $600. Fucking take that money. You go get that money. It's your money that you're taking. Just know that's your money that he's paying you off with. And if he offers to pay your rent, fucking take that money. Go ahead, get that money. Do not vote him back into office, or guess what? You won't be able to pay your rent in 6 months. And you'll need the next guy. Because, by the way, if he gets voted back in the office, he's not offering any more free money. So take his money, vote him out of office. And yeah, Caitlyn Jenner, fine. I fucking want anybody but him. Anybody but that piece of shit. And yeah, I'm being petty. And yeah, I just want a scalp. And, San Francisco's too dumb to vote out the up-jump file clerk, London Breed, out. Two days ago, the gym, if you've been watching the Nerdrotic Nooner for a long time, back when I lived in San Francisco, I'd get up in the morning, I'd go work out, I'd go to Pete's, and I'd come back with a Pete's coffee and I'd start a nooner. Some of you remember that. Well, I used to go to a place called Stonestown Galleria. It's a mall in San Francisco. Well, 2 days ago, an elderly couple in their 60s went shopping together, and then they were followed home and beaten damn near to death with fucking AR-15s by a couple of fucking thugs, a couple of fucking piece of shit thugs. The wife told her husband to run for his life. She almost got beaten to death. They're fine. They're recovering, but they were followed home. This is a nice neighborhood in San Francisco. It's about 2 blocks away from my store and a block away from some of the most expensive real estate in San Francisco, like fucking $4 or $5 million mansions, right? So good neighborhood. San Francisco State is right next door. And then there's this Stonestown Galleria. And this poor, nice, elderly couple who probably voted for fucking London Breed almost fucking died. Yeah, that's London Breed, San Francisco. You keep voting in weak-ass Democrat mayors, and you're going to get followed home and the shit beat out of you. It's a very good chance now. It's a very good chance of that happening in your nice neighborhood. You know what? There is no more safe spaces. John Doe, the average Doe, for $1 on the donation side. Hail, Gary. Your show helps me through the workday. Good. Ever heard of Mandrill, a C-list Marvel villain who mind controls women with pheromones? Think that inspired Dracoff? Powers in that I'm reading this. Powers in that lousy movie, a possible patriarchal villain for the MCU? Well, hell, let's take a look. Oh, shit. I did not mean to do that. I dropped it. Hang on. All right. Let's look for Mandrill. I gotta say it does not. I am not. Oh, well, it must be new because it's not in the HIJK. Wait a minute. Here we go. We got Man Ape. We got Man Beast. Mandarin. Mandrill. There he is. Oh, yeah. Mandrill. Mandrill is Jerome Beachman. Other aliases are Hensley Fargus. Political subversive is occupation, citizenship, United States of America, criminal record in the United States, place of birth, Los Alamos, New Mexico. Place of death, Los Angeles, California. Cause of death, stabbed and drained of life force by the Grim Reaper's scythe while attempting to avenge the Grim Reaper's murder of Necra. Powers and abilities. Oh, here we go. Aside from the above listed skills, none. Superhuman mental abilities, chemically based ability to attract and enslave women with his mutant pheromones. He's 6 foot, 275 pounds. And I'm trying to think of, here, I'll just have to look up. But yes. Mandrill. I don't know if he's got Black Widow. Yeah, there we go. He was captured by S.H.I.E.L.D. Daredevil 110. Significant issues. Shauna the She-Devil. Well, that's probably Marvel 2-in-1 number 3. Daredevil 110 through 112. Defenders. That's where I've seen him. Defenders 78 and 80 right there. Good call on that one. No, I don't think. I highly doubt that anybody who fucking wrote for Black Widow or anybody like bothered to, I don't know, go through the database that they have and find something like Mandrill. But whoever designed Mandrill, oh, that's a problem. So they do the turnarounds, right? Then you get your little powers and abilities here. Yeah, maybe. No, I'm out of focus. Out of focus still. Out of focus still. Out of focus still. Well, that's annoying as fuck. Here, let's do this. That'll work. Okay. All right, there is another article that we got to go over. Let me get my bookmarks here. This is interesting. We're not going to go over the whole thing. We will skim this, and then we got to get to the Brian Hibbs article, which is kind of related to this. All right, so here we go. Marvel and DC, shut up money. Comic creators go public, overpay. Now, if you've been paying attention to this show for any amount of time, you have heard me tell the Len Wein story. Len Wein is one of the creators of Wolverine, but he's one of the main creators of Wolverine. And Len Wein was, he was very sick towards the end of his life. and Heroes Initiative tried to help him out, but he died basically broke. The co-creator of Wolverine, one of the main co-creators of Wolverine, died broke. Now, I don't care if 30 people created Wolverine, and the way these things work are kind of weird, but Len Wein was one of the main creators. He's considered a co-creator of Wolverine. Him dying broke is unforgivable. I talked to his son. I went to Comic-Con 3 years ago. It was 2018, 4 years ago, because I wanted my son to meet his namesake. My son's name is Logan. He's named after Wolverine. My son's middle name is Tiberius because he's named after Captain Kirk. So it's Logan Tiberius Beekler. So I wanted him to meet one of his namesakes, the creator, Len Wein, which he did. He got a picture with Len Wein. Len Wein found out that, I'm sure I'm like one of 90,000 people who said, my kid is named Logan. And I even said, I'm like, I know this is stupid, but I named my kid Logan because I fucking love your character and I love the name. And he drew some pictures for us and signed it, gave us way more than what we gave him. $20. He gave us like $200 worth of shit, which was really nice of him. And I talked to his son, and his son was telling me, like, it's fucking sad. It's sad. So Hugh Jackman basically had to muscle Fox and Disney to give the guy anything. And then Hugh Jackman helped him out too. And then after I heard that story, I put, it's all the cash I had from the con that I was going to spend on stuff. I just put in his son's hand. I'm like, could you give that to him, please? It was like $200. I'm like, I can't, it was just watching his son like break down in front of me. It's like, you could tell and by the way, Len Wein died like 2 weeks later. So he was at con. He looked sick. It was a sad story. So yeah, you're not going to get great comics anymore because these creators have figured out that if we create something for these giant companies, we're going to get fucked. Brubaker is currently getting fucked. But the thing is, Brubaker created a derivative character. So I'm going to go, listen, there's a certain point where you guys go, stop. That's Bucky. You just called him Winter Soldier. Hey, that's a damn good design. I love the design of the Winter Soldier. And sure, you should get something. But don't act like you created Spider-Man. It's a derivative character. It's the same with Alan Moore and the Watchmen. It's like those are all just reworked Charlton characters, bruh. You didn't like exactly. And same with the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Those are all just reworked characters that that somebody else started. So don't start getting all high and mighty. But they do get fucked over. Marvel fans were flying high with the release of The Falcon and Winter Soldier, were they? At the Disney Plus series rose to the top of the Nielsen's closely watched streaming chart at 855 million. By the way, the Nielsen chart only tracks people watching their shit through their smart TVs, which is not it's maybe a third. Maybe. I don't. Minutes viewed, 855 million minutes viewed during the April 12th through 18th frame, yet one person fans surprised to learn wasn't watching was Ed Brubaker, the comic book writer who co-created the Winter Soldier character and whose work helped inspire 1 billion grossers like 2016's Captain America Civil War, and with a widely circulated interview in which he expressed dissatisfaction with his Winter Soldier pay. I have made more on SAG residuals, because he made a cameo in the movie, than I have made on creating characters, Brubaker told Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin on the Fat Man Beyond podcast, the Shill Man Beyond podcast with liar Kevin Smith, who lies to the He-Man audience, which I am not part of, but solidarity for people lying to the fans. Fuck the motherfuckers who lie to you guys. Brubaker told Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin. So in May, Ta-Nehisi Coates, who ran Black Panther and Captain America into the ground. What? Okay. This is bullshit. In May, Ta-Nehisi Coates, whose run on Black Panther comics helped the $1.2 billion grossing Chadwick Boseman film get greenlit. That's bullshit. Christopher Priest, and only Christopher Priest. Shut the fuck up. Ta-Nehisi Coates is fucking garbage. compared to that guy. And by the way, that the comic sales went down. Sure, it did get it got a lot of hype, but then it faded. Chadwick Boseman with Polygon noting that he was fortunate not to depend on the comics for a living. I wish that Marvel found a better way to compensate the creators who helped make Black Panther. Said Coates. Well, yeah, you need to compensate the families of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, the creators of Black Panther. And then maybe Christopher Priest. And I'll even say Reggie Hunlin before your ass. Christopher Priest and Reggie Hudlin did more for Black Panther than Ta-Nehisi Coates' ass. Reggie Hudlin was the one who made fucking Wakanda all like Asgard, you know. Which I never liked. Reggie Hudlin had fucking Black Panther fucking beat Silver Surfer, which was bullshit. Reggie Hudlin used to be the program director for BET. Comic book history is full of stories and writers and artists who signed meager deals only to see their creations become icons, dating back to the 1930s with Superman, Joe Siegel, blah, 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 blah. We know all this. Multiple creators have publicly stated that DC payments for adaptations in general is higher. Creator Jim Starlin turned heads in 2017 when he publicly noted that Warner Brothers paid him more for a minor character that appeared in DC's Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, than he was received for money for Thanos, Gamora, and Drax. Yep, that is true. So we're hot off the heels of Alan Dean Foster not getting paid, right? We're hearing all these creatives are not getting paid. And they go into like, for example, Christian Bale liked looking at Tim Sale's work before he would go out and strike a pose. I'm not sure how you put a value on that. Well, you just fucking make one up. You make one up. The thing is, the companies are in business to make money. The way corporate America goes, it is about making the most money possible and giving you, the employee, or you, the creative, the very, very bare minimum, which is a broken system, which sucks. You know what I loved about sole proprietorship? I do that now, is if somebody does a good job, I could just reach into my pocket and give them $200 and say, here's a bonus. Of course, I got to write it down, pay taxes on it and everything, but I can do that right away. If somebody does something good, you can reward them. You can pay them a little more, you know, and that's why we do need it. Like, I love capitalism, but like capitalism in its truest sense, which is helping the mom and pop store, the sole proprietor, or maybe the small chain. But what we have here is not capitalism. It's corporate oligarchy. And, you know, the creatives, if you guys would speak up against your companies once in a while and not be a bunch of fucking pussies, maybe you would get better deals. But you only get what you negotiate. The problem is, here's the biggest problem. Marvel and DC, their money and their ability to produce these books for so long is what made these things popular, right? Along with the creatives. But the fans made it popular. So while the creatives are fighting with the company and the company are fighting with the creatives and the creatives and the company are all getting political, what gets left out is the fans. You know what? Nobody's going to feel sorry for a dude like Ed Brubaker who is complaining about not getting money, yet that guy lives in probably a very fucking nice house, and he writes for a living. He doesn't even draw for a living. He writes funny books. Ed Brubaker's a talented guy. Very talented guy. I also remember when he was poor and he was doing arm wrestling at Isotope, or Comics and the Kind. It was called Comics and the Kind at the time. I remember when Kirkman was fucking poor. So, you know what? I don't think anybody wants to hear you bitching about residuals. This is a great lesson for everybody out there right now. Don't give people your best characters. Don't give them your best work. Don't waste your time on fan films. Don't waste your time on fan comics, fan fiction. Make your own shit and own it. And maybe you'll be the next Stan Lee or George Lucas. Don't waste your time on fan films. They're great for adoration, but they don't put any money in your pocket. And creatively, it's still kind of bankrupt because you're using somebody else's IP that you don't own. It ends up being a giant waste of time. I know you're passionate, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But, yeah, Ed Brubaker, he's still getting residuals from the Winter Soldier run and negotiate a better deal. But coming out and bitching about it later, especially now, like when Siegel and Schuster went through this. So many creatives went through this. And these movies have been making $1 billion for 20 years now. Let's go back to fucking Spider-Man, X-Men. These movies have been making billions of dollars for 20 years now. Don't act like you're dumb. See, we're nearing the end. We're nearing the end. And the party's almost over. Hollywood fucking destroyed comic books. Now, a lot of things destroyed comic books, but Hollywood was one of them. The comic book industry had been in decline for a long, long time. The comic industry had a lot of problems. It didn't have a lot of distribution-wise, it didn't have competition. So there was one lone distributor, which fed the direct market for comic shops, and it stayed very steady for a long, long time, but it didn't grow like a normal industry does. As a matter of fact, the amount of Amazing Spider-Man comics that sold 20 years ago is pretty close to the amount that sold 3 years ago. Now, it's bad now. Can't compare it now. But these guys running around and going, listen, I feel bad for them. I feel bad for the Jim Starlins and the Len Weins of the world. Those guys did get screwed. Those guys did create some great books. But Ed Brubaker, who wrote an episode of fucking Westworld, shut up. Personally, I'm just going to say shut up. I'm not going to feel bad for you. I'll feel bad for the older guys. And Ta-Nehisi Coates, get fucking bent. You're a fraud. You're lucky you got anything. Anything you got was fucking stealing. Starlin, who has made peace with Marvel over Thanos and speaks positively of his relationship there, has another 1970s creation hitting the big screen September 30th with Shang-Chi. Okay. That's Bruce Lee. Starlin. That's fucking Bruce Lee. So don't act like you created something that you just took Bruce Lee and called him Shang-Chi. I like Shang-Chi. I like the art in the books was great. I'm not going to say I read a bunch of them. I like the Paul Galassi art. I thought that was spectacular. But here's another thing. Because, I mean, this is just rich people bitching about not getting residuals for the most part, except if it's Siegel, Schuster, Len Wein and stuff. But fucking Ed Brubaker's rich. He's a Hollywood writer. Jim Starlin deserves more money. That guy's a fucking legend. But let's go to this. Okay, this is a comic book site that's an offshoot of Bleeding Cool. Heidi McDonald used to work at Bleeding Cool. Bleeding Cool is what I call Bleeding Stool. Bleeding Stool is shit. You should read Bleeding Fool and Bounding into Comics. While they both have their bias, they're both like good people run those organizations, right? And they're real. They will give you real talk. They're not fucking shills who want to suck up to creatives in the industry. And that's all the Access Media has ever come to. So The Beat is run by Whisper Network member Heidi McDonald, who helped get Warren Ellis canceled. So don't go to this website. Don't go to the fucking ads. I should have archived this. I'm sorry. This is a Tilting at Windmills blog. This is a blog, obviously, it's been going on for a long time. It used to be in Bleeding Cool, and it's a blog written by Brian Hibbs, the person I sold my comic shop to. If you look to the right, you're going to see a picture of a life-size Iron Man in front of what I believe is I think a run of the Avengers. I can't really tell. Every time a superhero movie would come out, I have full runs of everything. So I would put up, like, if a Fantastic Four movie came out, I'd put up Fantastic Four 1 through 500 throughout the store. Same with Spider-Man so often. I think this is the Avengers. I can't remember. So I took this picture. That's a picture I took of my store. They still use this picture as it equates to Brian's store because he never really updated it, right? You can see right here, that's my Comic Outpost sign. And there's a sandwich board with the same thing. Basically, minimum effort. This is some business 101. If you put minimum effort into something, the customer is smart enough to sense it and see it. And they're going to want to spend the minimum at your minimum effort store. So my old store is being shut down forever. A store that has been in that location since 1994. So a long fucking time. Hold 'em, fold 'em, walk away, run. Retailer Brian Hibbs explain why he is closing his second periodical focus store. When somebody who's been kicked out of 3 high schools and been to prison and is fixing your fucking grammar, your spelling, that's just sad, Heidi McDonald. The rest of it's by Brian Hibbs. Sometimes you just have to know when to quit. This week I have sent an email to customers of our second location, Comics Experience Outpost, that will be closing the location down before the end of the year. Life happened, and we're losing both of the main employees there at the same time. While we probably could find people and retrain and fully restaff the store, we have big plans for the main store on Divisadero in 2022 that will demand a lot of attention from us and really leaving us very little time to put into the other less profitable location. I tried to find a buyer for the store, but ultimately all of the leads petered out. Okay, let's talk about this just for a second. There's certain things I can't say. I know Brian and I spoke around the time of Stan Lee's death. Was that 2 or 3 years ago? And he talked about the possibility of me buying the store back. This was before, of course, lockdowns and me moving. And I'm like, all right, well, what do you want to sell it to me for? He gave me a number and it was just fucking ridiculous. I'm like, I said, I'd think about it. Then I'm like, no. Plus I didn't want to go back. I just didn't want to go back for any amount of money. I wasn't like, it's like going backwards. I like to move forward in life. And ultimately, the circumstances of me selling my shop were very, very bad. My life was in shambles. In the long run, I am way better off. Oh my God, that was the most well-timed fucking cocaine relapse of all time. It got me out of an industry that was falling apart and I didn't even know it. And I got out at the fucking perfect time. December 15th, 2013 is when I sold my shop. I had a broken heart. My heart was in pieces, man. For a lot of reasons. My heart was in just pieces. I was a fucking broken man. But damn, did things work out much better. All right. So he lost 2 staff members, and I can hear you now going, what the fuck? He's closing down because he's losing 2 staff members? No, I'm going to side with him on this one. Now, I wouldn't close down. Now, I would put in the energy to train people if I was in a similar position. Brian doesn't run this store. He runs his main store, so he relies 100% on his employees, which I would never do. Finding a trustworthy, reliable comic shop employee is like finding a unicorn, and those are 2 key words there. Trustworthy and knowledgeable. Okay, so they know their shit. They read comic books, and you can leave them with your store, with your cash register, with access to all of your passwords and all of your customers' private information. Unicorn. Add on top one more thing. Being verbose, being able to talk to people, being friendly, being good at customer service. That's like finding a jackalope unicorn. You just can't find employees like that. And if you do, they are worth their weight in gold. Most comic shop owners aren't like that. Brian's not like that. Brian's terrible at customer service. He's very clinical. He's good at the books. He's good at inventory and all that stuff, and he's considered a prominent comic shop owner. If you went to his shop, you'd wonder why he was a prominent comic shop owner. It's only because he's lasted for decades, and he's done it by playing it safe and being very clinical and judging by the numbers and not selling comic books. He doesn't sell. He's a bookstore. He's a bookstore. I did not want to be a bookstore. As a matter of fact, I stopped buying trades from Diamond. I only bought used trades. It actually worked out much better for me, but we'll continue. So yeah, finding 2 employees that know their shit and you can trust is hard. Finding 2 employees that know their shit, that you can trust and know how to talk to customers is impossible. Part of it is me getting older. I had a major heart attack with the last year, and it makes it hard to invest in starting fresh again in a secondary location, because that would be a major investment on my and my staff's time to get it back up where it needs to be. Part of it is Divisadero's my baby. And here's a key one. Outpost was already an existing store that I bought 7 years ago when the former owner, which is me, at least the third former owner at that was an attempt at minimizing me, by the way, right there. That was a shot at minimizing me. I'll respond to that in a second. Declared on Facebook that he was going to close the store within 2 weeks, so I stepped in to save it. However, it never had been the location that I had personally it's never been a location that I personally had a lot of emotional investment in. All right, so Brian is lying right there. Brian's a fucking liar. Brian didn't come in to save it. Brian came in to get the customer base, to move them over to my store, which he never could do. And he also came in to lowball me when I was like, I was falling apart, dude. I was going through a cocaine relapse. My wife was going to fucking leave me. I was going to lose everything. So he comes in, lowballs. I took it, and it's my fault. This is my fault. This is all my fault. He was being a businessman, doing what a businessman does, but he wasn't coming in to save the Outpost. That was his narrative. Half of the clientele ended up leaving because the customer service sucks so bad. Am I bitter over it? No, because I sold it. It was my decision. I walked away. I have made my peace with it. And again, I am glad I don't have to sell Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel now. I don't know how I would fucking do it. Now, if I still had that shop, I'd probably only sell back issues and toys and just say, fuck new anything. I don't know if I can make it in San Francisco. I could make it somewhere else, but yeah. So, he didn't save the store. He only stayed in business for 7 years. I know how much he made with the store, and he never made close to what I made with it because he put nothing into it. So again, when he and I talked about the sale, he told me what the store made. And it wasn't much. And if he was relying on his main store. So if somebody had owned that store outright and they were making as much as Brian, it would have been out of business within a year. So basically he kept it for volume discount to siphon customers, and it didn't work out. So he's going to try to siphon what customers he can over to his Divisadero location, which San Francisco being 2 miles away from something, you might as well be 100 miles away from something. If you can't access it on a K-line or a BART, driving really isn't an option there, although I did it all the time because I was a dummy. But even with those barriers, I probably still would have dug in and fought hard for it, except for one thing. I have lost a great deal of faith in the business of periodical comics. This is the important part, folks. And more specifically, of many of the people in charge of shepherding it. Costs of operation are greatly increasing. Profit margins are getting tighter. And the industry as a whole seems hell-bent on catering to speculators and fear of missing out. FOMO marketing, which is they have always been doing. Brian, they have been doing this for 2 decades. You had 2 decades to call it out. I tried to call it out many fucking times. I bitched to Diamond. I bitched to David Gabriel. I bitched to fucking Bob Wayne when he was around. I bitched to fucking everybody. I bitched to you about it. I bitched to other people about it. And everybody just, that's the way it is, kid. That's the way it is, kid. Remember that? That's the way it is. I fucking hate that statement. That's the way it is. Then fucking change it. But nope. Nobody fucking did it. And now Brian Hibbs is calling out speculators in fear of missing out, and other people are calling out piracy. This has nothing to do with it. The periodicals suck because they're written by Vita Ayala. Because they're written by Kelly Sue DeConnick. The periodicals sales suck because they're trash. They're filled with politics. And you have creatives, which I can't even call them creatives. We have fucking hacks attacking fans. And that's why stores are closing, and that's why you have lost faith in the periodical market, because the periodical market is dead. It's fucking dead. And while Divisadero is focused on selling graphic novels, Outpost is primarily about selling comic books. That's why I called it the Comic Outpost, because it was a comic book store, because I like selling comic books. I always have a comic book near me. I don't know why. I just do. This is part of, I'm going to be breaking these out on the Real BBC tomorrow, if I get my supplies in. So Outpost is primarily about selling comic books. I have managed to nearly triple the book sales over there. Book sales. The book sales that I stopped buying from Diamond. So he has no idea how many books I fucking sold because I stopped buying from Diamond and I just sold used books. But let's go on. Mr. I tripled the book sales. I managed to nearly triple the book sales after the day I bought it, but it's still at 60%. Well, you tripled the book sales, but you were making half to a third of what I was pulling in total with the store, Brian. So how did you up book sales when you were making half to a third of what I was making with that store? Interesting. I have had many of my assumptions radically changed in the last 18 years of COVID shutdown and slow recovery of San Francisco. The local economy has been tourist-centered on one and a third and tech-focused on the other. Both things which are severely disrupted with the stay-at-home. The stay-at-home that you all supported. And by the way, you're going to have another one in a couple of months, Brian. I've always held the keystone truth of retail given to me by the great Jim Hanley. That said, you should never become a catalog store. Well, that's what everybody became with Diamond, essentially. As that leads to stagnation. The industry has been stagnant for decades. Oh my God, just reading this makes me fucking crazy. It's all coming back. But the thing I didn't really appreciate is that this requires active and benign husbandry from the publishers. No, it doesn't. They are businesses. They don't owe you fucking shit. You're lucky your fucking industry is still alive. I'd be thanking my lucky stars I have publishers and distributors for comic books right now. And that has largely disappeared, unfortunately, which makes a periodical-driven business fairly unsustainable for what my goals are in comics. And he's right. He's right about that. Comic books are no longer sustainable for the comic book industry. How is it still around? Well, conflation, manipulation, lies, manga, children's books, blah, blah, blah. But the actual comic book, not sustainable. Brian Hibbs is saying that. So while people are running around on Twitter going, everything is fine. Well, it is if you are selling back issues. My good friend Jamie Newbold, unfortunately, his store got broken into. And by the way, his store was broken into by retards. Retards broke into his store and took the least valuable books and left the most valuable books sitting right there on the next shelf. It was fucking hilarious. We were laughing at you, retard. He had his best year ever. He's having his best year ever again this year. And he doesn't rely on new books. He doesn't sell, he sells some trades here and there. He sells back issues and supplies. Doesn't even have a manga book in the house. But he is just raking it in because people still love good stories. And it's not all speculators. It's people going through the dollar bins and getting dollar books. Maybe if the Marvel and DC, which they wouldn't have had listened to Peter Samedi, right? Gone to pulp, make your books cheaper, sell in a higher volume, make them available and, fuck the comic stores. Don't listen to them. Sell in a higher volume, get them in Walmarts, get them in 7-Elevens, get them in Circle K's, get them in grocery stores. And then once the comic stores are done having their little temper tantrum and rolling around on the ground, they'll realize that more people are reading comic books and they'll want to go to comic book stores to get their specialty book. That's how it used to work. But it's people like Brian Hibbs that kept that from happening. Brian Hibbs always bitched about my competition. My competition. I don't want to be competing against the 7-Eleven. The industry listened to Brian Hibbs. And that's why they're now 7-Eleven doesn't want comic books. Why would they want comic books? Takes up retail space. The periodical portion of the business has clearly, okay. The periodical business portion of the business has clearly been shifting strongly over the last few years to lean more heavily on the collector side of the market. Wow. They will cut their own legs off. They will cut their own nuts off rather than talk about what the real problem is. Let's hear this out. Let's hear this. It's the speculator. There are virtually no periodical comics being released today, and they don't have at least 2 covers. And far more than that, they are becoming increasingly typical. There is at least one publisher who publishes at least 10 covers on nearly every single periodical they release, and new publishers are often open with 5 per issue as their standard. Okay, this isn't selling to the speculator, Brian. And if you collected comic books, you would know this, but you don't. This sells to the completist. The person who wants, I am collecting all Spawns, so I want every Spawn. I want every cover. I want every toy. I want every magazine. I want everything with Spawn on it. I'm a Spawn completionist. That's not a speculator. A speculator is somebody who's going to flip shit. Nobody's flipping these covers and making any money off them. Very few. No, they're preying on the I want both covers, or just somebody who does it once in a while. It's a way of selling the same book twice. You could have called this out years ago. You didn't. I didn't think these kind of tactics are even remotely sustainable, and I agree with you there. Especially as distribution is going to continue to fracture over the next year or two, and even if it was. This is an absolute no way how I am interested in conducting business, especially when we have to know if we have to now order and rack comics defensively, as organized key comic apps and groups target the low print runs that collector-focused publishers invariably bring, stripping away the supply from the average reader. In other words, apps making it easier to find comic books are in some way competition for Brian. This is Brian we're talking about. And even in the face of all that, I could have kept the second store going, except for the changes in distribution that were initiated by DC and hammered home by Marvel. DC moving to discount comic book services, the number one competitor for each and every brick and mortar retailer store in America. But they're your distributor now. So, I mean, suck it up. To be clear, to be their sole distributor under the name Lunar was disheartening. I have no interest in enriching my competition. Further, I heard that a lot. It did absolute nothing other than increase costs, even if the work remains the same of ordering comics, because you have to do it through 2 different sources, one of which who wasn't compatible with most anyone's systems, blah, 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 computer compatible, wow. And just this month, and I can't believe it's called this, DCBS, DC Comics Bullshit, has announced their new discount terms, and because we buy our DC graphic novels from Penguin Random House, we're about to lose 2% on periodical comics as a result. That does add up, but you're still in business. The thing is, there used to be an advantage to a second store because of your volume. Your volume rises, your discount used to rise, but that's not just the case in a deconsolidated market. And PRH, who will be Marvel's new distributor, doesn't offer volume-based discounts in the first place. We're going to be about 2% lower on the Marvel discount when the change happens in October, in addition to adding the expense of a third place from which we'll have to order periodicals. All having a second store now doesn't increase the costs with no tangible benefits. Well, I mean, this is why I got into buying a comic store, so I didn't have to worry about 2% margins and shit like that. I had to deal with that stuff in auto parts. And with comic stores, of like, if I'm losing 2% in one thing, you know what? I own the store. I have the power to gain 2% in something else. It just takes a little more work, a little thought. So my goal was to make sure to get the customers what they want, sell them quality books that are in shape, and give them the best customer service experience while being in a shop where they always have their eyes wide open and their jaw falls on the floor, because I want them to be blown away by my shop. If I'm sweating 2%, which sucks, it sucks. I'm not saying it doesn't suck. If the margins are that tight, then what am I doing? Like, it sounds like Brian's in comic books and books to make money. This is the last place you want to go and make money. Sure, you want to pay your bills and stuff, but this has to be a fun job. And if it's not a fun job, then, fucking go do something else, sweetie, because you can make more money. I fear for the future for Diamond. I mean, like a lot, their service has already markedly worse in the last 3 months or so. Yeah. As a matter of fact, Jamie at SoCal said Diamond has been bad for the last 3 months, and James at the Comics Lounge here in Escondido said Diamond has not been good. Yeah, they're going down. Diamond is going down. Believe me. I've heard about some of the things they're actually entertaining right now. I firmly expect our margins to shrink on the remaining Diamond Carry publishers. Now, don't get me wrong, I still see a future in comics. A long and strong one for me, at least. That's Brian. This is Brian right here. I'm all about the industry. I'm all about the industry. For me, at least. Because he's a bookstore. He's not a comic store. The graphic novel clubs are growing, and Divisadero Street has a hell of a team that's into selling books, and we're genuinely thriving on that. But that future has less and less to do with racking and maximizing sales on comic books. He says periodicals, but it's comic books. Without direct buy-in from the publisher in the form of affidavit returnability, it's really not viable to do a full copy or strip cover returns to 3 different distribution sources because of the costs of labor to handle. What? He's talking about ripping covers off of comic books. It takes fucking a half an hour, maybe. But that new 50% margin on Marvel periodicals That's a loss of like 4%. That's pretty big. And a soon-to-be 48.5% on DC. That's a 6% because it used to be 55%. After shipping, there's just no value in risking anything more than the bare minimum for the two largest publishers of periodicals. Just reducing to becoming an effective catalog store for the periodical category becomes the most sensible approach. So this is Brian threatening, like the publishers won't even read this, by the way. I want to get to where he's talking about customers. Because, damn, it sounds terrible. Hang on. Further, overwhelming majority of books appear to be... He's talking about creatives earning royalties here, which I don't care about. Talking about page rates. The problem, as I see it, is that the executives at Marvel and DC have a remit that is about revenue this quarter rather than building and growing their market to make more and more money over the long haul. Yeah, we all knew that when, excuse me, corporations took over the comic book industry. We knew that was happening. It sucks, and no, I don't like it. As opposed to the sense of collectible value tied to the wrapped around, it means it just isn't going to be economically viable for me to continue having a second store that is tied up in the periodical market. I don't believe that collectible value is something that is true and real. And he never has, by the way. He never has. And it's somewhere in the middle, okay? A book is only as valuable as you make it, or I make it, but there are real valuable books. Like an Amazing Fantasy 15, if you have the money to buy one, you absolutely buy it. It will perform better than any fucking stock ever. I don't believe that the collectible value is something that's true and real. I have watched literally thousands of stores go out of business chasing that particular illusion and or manipulation. You've maybe seen 1,000 stores because there's only been 3,000 stores at one time in this country, and there's nowhere near that now. And so San Francisco is going to have 14% fewer comic book stores in a matter of months. As hard as it will be, Divisadero Street will be stronger for it because we don't have to spend effort doing things that aren't moving us forward. Just the hours of paperwork or of doing final cutoff orders each week and so on that I will be regaining will mark this as a relief for me, but it's going to hurt some customers. It's going to reduce overall access to periodical comics in my city, and those are things that are bitter in my mouth. So yeah, that's his goodbye article. I was mixing that up with this Facebook post where he talks about, where he tells the customers, you got to support and you got to do this and you got to do that. It's like, no. The customer doesn't got to do shit. The customer shows up with their hard-earned money and you service them the best of your ability. And you give them what they want. And the reason this industry is shit is because of the talent hired. There's a lot of reasons for that. Marvel and DC don't want to spend money. They're cheap. So they're pushing this racially fucking diverse bullshit because these people like Vita Ayala, can be bought cheap. She lives with her 8 fucking roommates. They eat ramen and she likes to say she's got comic books will stop being cool for fucking people like this pretty soon. And they'll be gone. Problem is, our industry will be in shambles. There are still a lot of people out there who know how to write comic books, but they're not being hired because they cost too much money and they create too many problems when you have the very compliant identity politics crowd who will do whatever they want and they allow themselves to be used as shields for male feminists. When Warren Ellis is getting canceled out of your industry's done. It's fucking done. Warren Ellis doesn't need to work anymore. I doubt it. Warren Ellis can go do an Indiegogo book tomorrow and he'll fucking make plenty of money. He'll be fine. As far as seeing the shop go, yeah, it's sad. I'd love to go save it, but I've got plans, and they aren't here in California. Why would I give California money? Why would I do a fucking thing? Why would I lift a finger for San Francisco or California? Fuck no. Never. Give me just a mo. Independent bookstores survived by serving collectors specializing in expertise, author, and book knowledge. Rare editions, book as object, that can never be replaced by digital. Nope. Joan of Arc, 33, digital. If digital was going to take over the book industry and the comic book industry, it would have done it already. Loquacious Primate for a dollar. What's up, buddy? Says, hi, hail, Gary. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to be too busy to be able to get the bugs out of the beta for my company's app to make it out to Vegas next month. But hopefully there'll be an event in New York that you come out to soon. I will not be going to New York. Sorry. No way. I did get press passes for New York Comic Con, but I will not be traveling to your fair city. No, thank you. I don't want to set foot in a major city for a long fucking time. I'll go back to maybe next year. I'll go. But nah. Sorry, man. I think I'm going to Florida. Hail, Gary. Hail, chat. Two things. First, this is my... Oh, I read this one already. Big Worm. Thank you. All right. Let's go here. Thank you, Joan of Arc. John Schwalbach for $20. Who's B. Maya and why does she sign your mail? Check your P.O. box. Friday Night Tights busted my nuts. Thanks. Hail. And the two bills. Hail to the two bills. Yes. I don't know who B. Maya is. I don't know. I signed at my P.O. box GB. So it must be like one of the employees there. There we go. I don't know. It must be one of the employees at my P.O. box, John. Sean McD for $5. What is the record for viewer count on for live on Friday Night Tights? It's 8,350. 8,350, and that was achieved with Chrissy Meyer and the Critical Drinker. So they have the record. The previous record was 8,300 with Eric July. Now, total count record, I think, belongs to It's a Gundam's first episode or Eric July's second. I can't remember, but it was like 140,000 views. Total count. Record for live stream was after Game of Thrones, 24,000. And then a record for a solo stream is, I believe, after The Fall of Skywalker, I hit 7,000. I went live after I watched Rise of Skywalker and had more than Star Wars Theory. That was cool. Joseph Benowitz for $5. Hail, Gary. If you didn't know you're on I am. Yeah, I did know I was on IMDb. Thought you should know the last Friday Night Tights was awesome. Hail to the panel. And fellow New Yorker, hail to Gundam from the Bronx. I will pass that on to Gundam. We love that guy, dude. Hey, Gary, hope things are going well. If you owned a movie theater and had the means to change it, how would you improve it and the experience? If I owned a movie theater, if I owned the building outright, I would make things cheaper. I wouldn't rely on the movie to actually make me money. I would do retail. I would make it a comic store movie theater. I would make it a sci-fi bookstore, vinyl. Think of like a Virgin Megastore, except with used stuff. outside of the movie theater. And I'd rely on that to make me money. And that way I could pick and choose what I wanted to be in the theater. Rookie Critic, thank you for the $5. I got to go pretty soon, folks. Thanks for a great Friday Night Tights, Gary. You're the man, says Sean McD for $10. You're welcome. I read that one. It seems like San Francisco, you could find someone who identifies as a unicorn to run your shop. Eric K for $5. That is true. That is true. Did I ever tell you the first guy I almost ran over in San Francisco? First time I drove there was a naked guy on a unicycle walking. Well, he was on the unicycle walking a poodle. And he had a little horn hat on. So he was a unicorn. About canon, remember the MCU has years of material to pull from. Ain't all of it good. By the way, came out in 64, but that nose-breaking bullshit from her 04 run is cited by the script hacks as the comic book moment defining of the film. Christopher Wayne for $25. You mean the 2004 miniseries? Not the Marvel Knights one, the 2004 series with the Greg Land covers that I vaguely remember. Yeah, it might have come from that. But Yelena came from the Marvel Knights run. That was pretty good, actually. It was pretty good. Black Widow never sold very well. Just didn't. She's not she is a solid B- C-list character. She had boobs, she had teats, so they had to use her. Random thought, but what you said on Drinkers podcast about the Marvel shows having CW writing is true, but even Smallville had better writing. Yeah, Claudie Rogajan for $4.99. Yeah, I don't count Smallville as CW writing. I like Smallville. CW writing is everything from Flash season 2 on. Just garbage. That's what Marvel, as a matter of fact, I say that in my Loki review, which will be out tomorrow morning. I say the same thing. It's fucking, it is most definitely CW writing for show. For show. Oh, there's one more article I got to show you real quick before we go. Like, I got to make this fast though. It was this one. Black Widow. Theater owners blast Disney's day and date strategy for undermining Marvel picks box office and future revenues. So they are blaming piracy. They are blaming the day and day, whatever the fuck they want to blame. The movie sucks and people stopped watching it. And all of a sudden, Marvel, which was very happy to tell us their VOD, day and date, whatever the fuck they are, numbers for the opening weekend. What do we got now? What do we got? That's what we got from Marvel. Crickets. Fucking crickets. Not a word on what Loki did. Now, generally, if a TV show is popular, the final episode will have the best ratings of the season or near the best ratings of the season unless the show is not popular. I have covered a lot of TV. I mean, not recently in the last year because of the coof, but I've covered over 50 shows on this channel. And every single show, I kept track of its ratings. And there is a pattern. There's a pattern that happens with TV shows. And if it's popular, it will always dip off after the first episode, then it'll rise up in the little middle, and then it'll dip up a little more at the end. All right? If a show is popular, that's what happens every single time. With most shows, It just tapers off. It just tapers off. But go look at Westworld Season 1's ratings, Mr. Robot Season 2 ratings. I'm thinking of popular shows. Game of Thrones, Seasons 5, 6, 7, and 8. You'll see the pattern of, people are loving this shit. And then you go to Batwoman ratings, Doctor Who ratings, the latest Doctor Who ratings. You can't find Star Trek Discovery ratings, but those are two good shows that'll show you, or Supergirl ratings, or any of the CW shows where it's just tailing off and they're just barely hanging on. That's what Loki was. I suspect Loki was only watched by a couple million people, which is still pretty impressive for a streaming service, but that's nowhere near what Disney needs. It's nowhere near what they need. I don't think it's too early. Black Widow could still make money, but I think I just wanted to lay dibs on hashtag Black Widow lost money because I think it could. Black Widow needs to make $550 million to make its money, maybe 400, but I'm thinking $550 million to make its money back, and I don't know if it's going to do that. It could, but it sucked. We got a $100 super chat. Holy shit. From WG. Thank you. Hey, Gary. Great show as always. So here you go, man. It's burrito time. Oh, it's burrito time. It's burrito time. I'm going to have one more burrito, and then I'm back on my cleanse. I kind of did a cleanse, then went off a little while to, and my body just went, just totally freaked out from it. But I'm going back on the cleanse before Vegas. Thank you, WG, for the $100. I appreciate you. Brad Hollingsworth for $10. Hail, Gary, epic beard. Dump Cali and come to Florida. What are your thoughts on the Gru the Wanderer series? I like Gru. It was fun. I mean, I wasn't totally into it, but Sergio Aragones was a very nice guy. I met him. He was at every con, one of the most approachable people, just one of the nicest men in comic books. Chris Morrison for $6.99. Hey, Gary, hail chat. Keep up the good work and stay safe and positive. The times, they are a-changing. They are, and things are going to get better. Just prepare for it to get worse. And all we can do is we just laugh at it. That's all we got to do is laugh at it because this shit's going to be fucking funny. This shit is going to be funny. I'm a fan of Tom Hiddleston, and Loki was a massive disappointment. I'm tired of watching women who couldn't do a push-up on their toes throw a man across a room. At least Kate Herron won't be returning as director. Yes. And Milena, thank you for the 20 Canadian pesos. I appreciate that. Did you notice that it seemed like a surprise to her? Yeah, the director will not be returning. And I found a scene in the trailer. I'm going to be bringing this up in my review. There's a big scene in the trailer that wasn't in the show that looks like it was meant to be in the show at the end. And they decided to tag a season 2 onto this. And I think it was a last minute decision. I could be wrong. That is just pure speculation on my part. My cousin named his first boy Logan as well. He always loved Wolverine. I don't think his wife knows that. Here's more to get to Texas money. John Wayne, thank you for the $4.99, and I will be getting to Texas sooner than later. All right, folks, I'm very, very sorry that I could not get to all the super chats. Okay. I will get to the rest in a square up until I move. All my live streams are going to be very limited. When I move, they won't be. When I move, it will be back to we just do them until we're done. And I'm okay with that. I got to get to work on my Loki review. Manowar 665, the neighbor of the beast, says Vegas or bust. Hell yeah. Vegas, real quick. I'm going to have a flyer made. By the way, if somebody wants to submit, I'm fine with that. I was thinking about taking one of the Friday Night Tights. Some people have made some brilliant art. I need to buy it from them and turn it into a Vegas flyer. Or if somebody wants to do a Nerdrotic thing, because this is this is a Nerdrotic event. I'm paying for everything. But then the Geeks and Gamers crew is going to be here. It's going to be a Friday Night Tights thing. This is our thank you to you. Okay. This is our thank you to you. There's no charging, no dues or fees. I booked out the Millennium Fandom Bar for a couple nights. We're also going to give you some prizes. We got limited number of drink tickets. We're going to have food of some kind there. Haven't quite worked it out, but I'm hoping to get a taco truck or something like that. Give you taco truck tickets. And you just show up because you guys have done so much for me and my family over this year. This is the greatest gig I've ever had. I fucking love this. I can't call it a job. It's not work. It's fun. It's fun. I could do this all day, and guess what? I do. I sit here for hours doing this shit, and it's none of it's work. And that's thanks to you guys. I wish it was under better circumstances. I wish Hollywood wasn't going fucking nuts and our world wasn't so crazy. But I think that we are necessary. We were necessary for each other, and we're necessary for this world to help break the narrative, and we need more of you out there to do that. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all for supporting this channel with Super Chats, donations, or just being here. The click, the like, the dislike, whatever. Your time is money too. We appreciate you. I appreciate the Nerdrotics. Thank you, Eric K. What's up, Cecil? No free booze. Yeah, but that's a limit. For one, I wasn't going to do free booze. And then I found out I had to. So I think Cecil left a super chat. Hang on. Pretty sure I saw Cecil in there. There it is. Cecil. Hey, Gary. What's the mask situation in Vegas? Right now, it's no mask. I imagine there will be masks required by the time the event rolls up. So just be ready for that. But I'm not going to bust your balls about anything. It just depends on the place. That's weird. All of a sudden, the streaming went poor. So sorry, it just did that right now. So I'm going to bug out. But yeah, so far the mask situation is no masks are required, but I imagine they will be. So be ready for that. It sucks. I don't know how the coof could get around in 120-degree weather, but whatever. But I'm not going to trip on it. You're welcome, MTAC Shark. Thank you for the $5. All right, we're going to wrap this thing up because it looks like I'm starting to have technical issues. Thank you, everyone. We will get caught up in the Super Chat Square Up, and I just feel like I'm forgetting somebody. Thank you to the Nerdrotics. Thank you to the audience. Love you guys. Please enjoy some credits.
Nerdrotic.com.
You're beautiful. Nebula Alien back to the portal molecule level. We got Michael Cornisti as a member at the Gandalf level. Thank you, Michael. And Von Weber is a member at the Jojoja level. Appreciate you all.
さあ、うどんプロレスからやってきた、どうなるとか、お尻を差し出しておりますが、何とかわからない、アラブの股間を痛めつける。さあ、ややこしいな、とっとと片付けようと。そういうことですよね。さあ、下ネタ嫌なんでって言っておりますが、どんどん下ネタに行ってしまっております。大阪では左やめ。駅面式、状態。そっちから、
Keep an eye for that Loki review tomorrow between 9 and 10 a.m. And Friday Night Tights. Have no idea who the guest is, but we'll find out soon. Take care, everyone.